friends. For some reason, it did not want me to go live. It simply was not allowing me to hit the button. This week, I'm joined by my lovely co-host this side. Ooh, I did it right this time. Sean.
I didn't.
And I do it wrong every time. Like, statistically, I had to get it right at some point.
Yeah.
We were talking about the end of the Wein run of Swamp Thing. So before we delve into stuff, I found this little open letter that Wein wrote when he was trying to hire Alan Moore. So, UK, if I read that real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm only going to read like the first part because the rest is just like, wow, I love Alan Moore. He's so great. And I feel like that's cool, but like that doesn't really like adhere to the theme of today. The first time I called Alan, he refused to believe it was me. I wish I could remember at this late date exactly what it was that prompted me to call Alan when I was looking for a new writer to take over Swamp Thing. I knew I'd been a fan of Alan's work on 2000 AD, and he seemed like an interesting choice as a writer, assuming, of course, he was available and so inclined. I got his phone number somehow, made the international phone call, and Alan answered on the third ring. I introduced myself, told Alan I had an offer to make him, and he hung up on me. Oh, hey, Jake. Reading an open letter about Alan Moore from Len Wein. When I called back, assuming the connection had been broken accidentally, I introduced myself again. Alan's reply, no, who is this really? And he started going through a list of his mates, trying to figure out who had put me up to this and why. It took me quite a while to convince Alan I was indeed me, and that I was interested in offering him work in the States on my own precious baby. It took a lot of cajoling and convincing to talk Alan into taking on the assignment, but I'm glad he did it. The changes he made on Swamp Thing helped to revolutionize the art form. His language was pure music. Under Alan, the graphic narrative suddenly grew up, and the comic book industry has never been the same since. I just thought that was really cute.
It's very cool.
But yeah, so this is the end of the Wein run on Swamp Thing. Wrightson left a few issues prior. Honestly, all I found on Wrightson was that he just couldn't keep up with this, with all of his other stuff. He kind of had to like pick and choose things.
Mm-hmm.
Swamp time, hell yeah. So yeah, he just couldn't keep up with the amount of pages that he would have to keep putting forth. DC also approached him to do, I got this, hold on, The Shadow. And yeah, he just could not keep up with how many pages. He did respond to an interview in the Comic Book Artist number 5. Seems like a really cool thing, so if you want to check out the whole issue, go check out that. But someone asked him, you did 10 issues of Swamp Thing, and then you were pretty much gone from DC. And he responded, after Swamp Thing, I felt burnt out on color comics. I would look back over those 10 issues and say, man, you can't see line work. The color's all dark and murky. So I started working for Warren, doing stuff in black and white. So it seemed like Bernie also just was kind of done with this style of comics for a while.
Fair enough. Like, he put a lot of energy into it. Like, I think we always remarked how much we could see on the pages, and maybe some of that's the restored color work, and maybe some of it's the paper that it was printed on if he didn't see it, or if it's the artist just, having that little bit of self-criticism that isn't really necessary beyond a certain point.
I think we also had slightly different takes because, well, no, you weren't saying that it looked like Bernie Wrightson art, but you said that the artist seemed like he was trying to do it in a similar fashion.
Yeah. So
I would definitely agree with, but I felt like the negative space, and I definitely think some of this was like the coloring and like the letters just felt different, like just slightly more cartoony.
Well, I thought I think overall here the coloring seemed pretty in line, though the colorist did change. So it's the same creative team for all 3 of these issues as Len Wein unloads. So where it was beforehand, basically Wrightson with some of the coloring work, and Glennis Oliver, and let's see. Yeah, that looks to be right.
Jake, and then, I would also say that Kirby just loved comics. Like, comics were like his heart and soul. Like, that man poured himself into comics.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bernie, like, also did other art well known within like the horror community and stuff. Like, he was like doing like art for like Frankenstein, just like within the actual novel, excuse me. But Kirby was just, God, that man just loved comics.
Absolutely. Comics will break your heart, kid. for these 3 issues, 11, 12, 13, same creative team. So it's Len Wein on writing, Nestor Redondo on art. He also did Rima the Jungle Girl and some Savage Sword of Conan. The colors here are by Tatiana Wood, who was born in 1926 and might still be around. And then the letters were by Marcos Pelayo, which I couldn't find much information on them.
I thought starting with the first issue of this little run that the colors or the letters looked very different. Specifically, like I don't know what you call them, but like, you know, the special letters, the like bam, pow kind of stuff.
Onomatopoeia.
But yeah, I want to just crack right into these guys.
Yeah, so part of the idea here with squeezing in 3 issues and kind of wrapping up this run is I want to take away a little bit of time from like the plots and stuff. We can hit those major points, kind of sum it up at the beginning, and then we can go into the real meat of each issue from there. So these came out. Tessa, do you mind if I just like run through them all?
Please.
All right, let's see how I do this as a speed run. So they came out August, October, and December of 1974 cover dates. So we're right on the nose as far as these 3 issues being 50 years ago. Issue 11 is called The Conqueror Worms, and it is a callback to Phantom Stranger 14, the proto Swamp
Which
Thing.
we covered.
Yes. Which I thought, once I realized what, at first I thought it was like, this seems kind of reminiscent of something. And then it's like, oh, this was intentional.
I was looking at the different Swamp Thing issues being like, when did this happen? And then like the little footnote, I was like, oh my goodness. Like,
yeah, there's a footnote in there. And so there's a little bit of, Swamp Thing finds something and faces off in the swamp. Got it. Cool. Okay. But then Matt Cable and Abigail Arcane are actually taken by these giant worms to the lair of Professor Zachary Nail, who's that dude who was trying to build a utopia inside his own like swamp dome. And he was the one that originally had this fake swamp suit on. But basically, that's the setup for the issue. Abigail and Matt meet up with fellow captives names of Luke, Kane, Ruth, and Bolt. Ruth and Bolt are a couple, and everybody makes an escape except for Ruth, who was the casualty in that point. And we wrap this up. The chaos ensues. Everybody escapes. Swamp Thing sees this jewel, like a 7-pointed star, and then the cliffhanger is he's taken to the past where he's almost face to face with a T-Rex. That's a freaking setup for a comic book right there. So going into number 12, The Eternity Man,
which I think is my least favorite issue.
That's fair. It seems like there's not...
This was like way later, but I feel like it's just a worse version of what happens in Sandman.
I think there's a little bit of Sandman, a little bit of Resurrection Man, which was a later character in DC continuity.
I liked a lot of it, but like I felt like what I liked could have been narrowed down to like 2 pages. Like it was just...
I think there's stuff that could have rehashed and has been rehashed in better ways. So he lands in front of a T-Rex, and then even though it's an anachronism, there's a man that helps him, and that's the Eternity Man. Turns out his name is, at least in one point, it's... did I put that in there? Yeah. Milo Mobius. Now that's a name. So he helps Swamp Thing, and then Swampy looks in his eyes. He sees that star again, and then he gets zipped into the Roman gladiatorial times, and then repeat. He gets taken to the plague, and then the Civil War, and then back to the present. That's how he keeps on hopping back to the present. Meanwhile, Arcane, Cable, and Bolt are trying to track down Swamp Thing because, like, hey, he just rescued us. Let's try to find him since he disappeared from their perspective.
I would also like to like pop in just because Matt Cable is finally on team like, I should help out Swampy. Maybe he's a good dude. And like immediately things go to shit. Everything's like pretty fine, like, and then just as soon as he tries to help, things are worse.
Yeah. So they basically kind of almost have a sitcom kind of missing each other thing, but then they reconvene with number 13, the Leviathan conspiracy, and the setup for that issue is a very hard image at the end of number 12. But number 13, you can tell Len is trying to wrap things up nice and neat. The G-Men.
That's also like part of why I think I didn't dislike it, was just my least favorite, but like his penultimate issue I felt like was just I'm gonna put all my best stuff into the last issue. Like,
yeah, you could tell he was holding his breath a little bit.
Yeah.
So the G-Men finally get Swamp Thing after they've been basically tracking him down since issue 1 with Cable himself. Matt and Abigail don't like that, but it's kind of out of their hands, so they're kind of seeing what's going on there. There's one shot where Swamp Thing is just like pressed up against the cage, just like any captive that you see in that kind of thing. So they also recruit Volt to help out, but he actually is like, I don't know. And then he kind of gets on board. Swamp Thing finally reveals to Cable through this long conversation that, hey, I'm Alec Holland. And then Cable's like, oh, shit.
I also love that Wein, I feel like, was like waiting on that to just drop on his way out. Like, just go into arc. We don't actually need any more Swampy. Like, everything could end here.
Yeah, and honestly, that was the case with a lot of books like that. If you look at, they had to set that up because, it either had to be a nice and neat package because not everything was guaranteed. But basically where it's left off is they have a burial for one of the scientists, one of the G-Men that was capturing, experimenting, studying Swamp Thing. He takes a ride in a trap door in the coffin, gets buried. Swamp Thing gets out of the ground, and when he steps out, he actually finds his own gravestone. And there's that classic forlorn look in his eyes. And that's basically where Len Wein leaves things for the next writer to pick up. And it wasn't Alan Moore right away, because taking the reins right afterwards with David Michelini, who I think also he definitely did some Star Wars. I think he did some Iron Man too.
Yeah.
Did he do Demon in a Bottle?
Bob Layton.
No. Layton was on the art, wasn't he? Or no, Layton wrote it and John Romita Jr. did the art. That might have been before Romita Jr. was really like Romita Jr.
I have it right over there, but I don't want to get up to go grab it. That was my first slab, fun fact.
I first had a copy of that in like 7th grade, I think.
It was actually a holiday present from Aaron. I wanted it, kept trying to buy it, and he was like, oh yeah, you can buy it later, and then at one point he just gave it to me.
Yeah. I think I've had like 3 or 4 copies over the years.
It's a good book.
Yeah, I'm just not much of an Iron Man fan.
That's fair.
You want to jump into like what worked and what didn't with the issues? Start going back to 11?
Yeah, let's go through individual stuff. I absolutely love how we open up on this first page. I think the splash is gorgeous. I think it's taking Swampy down to like exactly what he should be. And I know you like when they incorporate the title into something, and I like that it's on a branch here. But it's like the next one where they do it like perfectly, and I'm obsessed with it. I think it's really good when you almost like pass over the title, like you don't realize it's there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree there. I think to what you were saying, the coloring really stands out because it was less noticeable with the other issues, and you could see on that last slide it was yeah.
I'm jealous. I wish I was on a walk.
I like this little element right here where he's like just kind of frozen in his thoughts so long that he actually starts getting stuck to the ground, which
And I really love this internal struggle that he seems to constantly portray of just like, I'm not a plant, I'm a man. And then immediately he's kind of like, am I though? I don't even know.
Well, I'm getting planted here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. So I wanted to call this out specifically because with the change in art styles, it seems like, there's some expected differences between styles, but to me, it reads as Matt Cable specifically is being played by a different actor. Because if you look at the Wrightson art on the right-hand side, he's kind of like grizzled a bit. And with Redondo's, he's just super clean cut, super handsome. Like
I was gonna say, he gets more handsome. Like,
yeah, he really does. He's like Bruce Campbell, or if Bruce Campbell was Captain America, like that's Matt Cable.
This is definitely more of a coloring choice, but like he used to have like more of like black hair and shadows, and now it's almost exclusively like gray hair. He looks still more youthful though.
Peppery, graceful.
Yeah. My guest is Sean. He is the co-host every week for The Swamp Show. This is us reading through Swamp Thing. We are on the last of the Len Wein run. Bernie Wrightson just went off with the last one, and this is the last 3 issues Wein does.
With Nestor Redondo art. And I know this is a Tessa triple header today because our friend is
true. Yeah, if you guys are bold tonight, after this show, I'll be on the Keek Show to talk about this week's comics. And then after that, if you want to help go to a good cause, I have a show for Jennifer, and we're going to be trying to raise up some more proceeds for her GoFundMe because she is battling cancer. And we're talking about one of her favorite books, which is a Batwoman book.
Ooh, which one?
The J.H. Williams one, the like run that started in like Detective Comics. Elegy.
Nice.
Yeah, it's good. I was hoping to try to reread it today, but I'm struggling trying to read everything I can today.
I read a grand total of 1 comic book today.
I read 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19? Maybe? What was it? Yeah, something like that. It was a lot. I'm still not caught up.
Anyways, yeah. So where were we? Oh yeah, Matt Cable.
Different actors, yeah. And then you called these TMNT like, and yeah, I also wanted to say that these worms.
We're seeing more of these like. Okay, I said the worms were like something out of HR Puff and stuff.
Worms look like worms on a string. It looks like someone dropped them into some kind of like sentient ooze that will make them turn to live monsters.
Yeah, the mutagen from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Because that gator thing looks a lot like Leatherhead if he was naked.
And I think that's the one that also kind of like caused Swampy to have some more internal struggle of just like, that dude looks like me. He's all covered in moss and shit. Like, is that just basically what I am? So mindless beast?
By the way, if anybody that's watching hasn't read these issues, we've talked about the vocabulary that's used in here. Mossy is a favorite one, but for these last 3 issues, it's like Len just had a bunch of them in the word bank, and he was just trying to like throw them out while he could, because there's no joke. Mossy on almost every page in issue 11.
Probably literally like while he was working on this had like some kind of scratch pad just filled with like other things to use other than Swampy.
Mossy, bumpkins, mossy.
It's starting to seem like not a word to me anymore, I think.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I look at it and I was like, is that even how it's spelled anymore?
Mm-hmm. And this is harkening back to the prototype, which is like, damn, I'm so happy that we read those. Otherwise, I would just be like, oh, neat. And now, as you're reading it, I felt all my brain juices flowing. And I was just like, damn, like, what is this harkening back to? Not even realizing.
And this is the one that's not on DC's app, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Phantom Stranger, because the other one is House of Secrets.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one is, because that's like the.
Yeah, because I had the physical copy of this one. Yeah. Well, if you ever want to not try modern comics, this is on the DC app. The Swamp Thing run is I guess a gothic horror, but it's very like romantic and will pull at your heartstrings. It's the saddest thing I've
classic monster kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, if you want to try something else that isn't modern, I'm psyched because while Tessa and I were working this past weekend, I found the one issue that I was missing from Booster Gold Volume 1. I've been looking for number 12 for years, and it was right in the box I was working on.
If you also want to try something that's not modern, a compendium just came out this week for Grant Morrison's Animal Man, and that's fantastic. And it's one compendium.
I love it. I love
28 issues or something.
Yeah. I have the individual trades over on my shelf.
I have the deluxe hardcovers up here. They're my favorite.
Next version, I'm in Tessa.
Well, that's like my favorite. Like I like them more than Omnis and stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm also small, so it's nice. And then, of course, this is everything falling apart for Mr. Phantom Stranger Scientist all over again.
Yep.
And only losing one person. I actually haven't looked at the compendium in person because I added into inventory from the warehouse. So I hope it's pretty. I haven't looked at it, but I love that run.
I haven't seen that, yeah. But the other compendiums that they've been doing have looked really cool, like the Lobo one.
I like the Tim Drake Robin one, right? Whatever the Robin was, that was great, yeah.
Tom Strong was a good one.
True. And this is what I originally had in the thumbnail that I forgot to upload, if you happen to notice. If not, I fixed it. Don't worry about it if you're watching this on the replay. But, Swampert. This one's for you.
So I love those onomatopoeias right there. All the.
Is that not a comic book word for specialized words that are outside of text boxes? For some reason, I thought there was, but I don't know.
I'm sure there is. I'm an idiot, so I'm not gonna know.
I'm saying I don't know it. Pumpkin's out here. I got the Lobo, the Tim Drake, the Nightwing.
Oh yeah, Nightwing was the other one I was thinking of. So
you should check out Pumpkin's content because he has all these IKEA calyx shelves, and he just has Omnis galore behind him and big he's all the thick books, you know.
Yeah, Pumpkins. I apologize. I haven't checked out your content yet. I will.
Sean isn't really on TikTok because he's old.
Oh, it's on TikTok?
That's where he reposts his stuff on YouTube and Instagram, but TikTok is where he's a little TikTok famous. So. Oh,
okay. I mean, that's good. But what is also good are these sound effects with the T-Rex. And it's just some weird poetry. It's like grump, arunk, scrack, grog, thwood. Let me try that last one again. Thwood.
I didn't like that. I imagine that you were practicing these in the shower today.
I don't like that.
Okay, so I meant that you told me how much you liked the sound effects, so I thought you would have been trying to make them sound cool.
No, I just sing in the shower, really, honestly.
Really? That's so endearing.
It's true.
Oh, okay. I listening to documentaries.
With the Eternity Man here, I love this shot. I think this is one of my favorite frames of Redondo's work here. Is just Swamp Thing. He's still pretty much a man fighting 3 freaking lions.
He can just hold up 2 like nothing. Whatever. Yeah. It's just a Tuesday for this dude.
Yeah, I mean, I struggle with my 2 cats, and they're 10 pounds each.
You should reenact this. You should post this as a side-by-side with you and your 2 cats, and then this.
I cannot get close enough to replicating that. I can't have one of them there while another one is there. That one right there is non-negotiable. Maybe Ryan could do it though.
Yeah, I'll try to bribe him.
Oh, see if Brian could do it with Riva and
with Wasabi. Wasabi's my favorite cat in the whole world.
Poof.
Maybe I mean, they make bound books, so I guess you can just bind as many as you want, and you can just have something that's this big, you know?
Yeah.
Do whatever you want.
How big can they go? How far can they go?
Apparently most of them actually don't get royalties on trades after the fact, which is crazy. But yeah. I don't buy John Byrne stuff until he's dead, even though I like his work. I feel the same way about Chuck Dixon. I used to like his stuff. Well, I'll just wait till he's dead. That's fine.
The game, even gaming at this point, is Get out of here, you noisy little creeper. I'm going to slap you silly.
I do believe that they probably did some fights with blindfolds, because I think at one point they were just trying to one-up everything that they were doing for entertainment value.
I'm surprised that hasn't actually come back yet in the modern world.
Okay, so like in like wrestling or something, like that would be fun, yeah.
There have been blindfolded wrestling matches.
Yeah, and so this is just that, but like, you know, torture.
There's mystery wrestling, which runs out of Quebec, and it's run by Evil Uno, Player Uno of the Dark Order. He's actually my friend Billy. But they have these wacky matches, and there was one where there was blindfolded wrestling. There's one where instead of like throwing all the rules out the window, there was extremely ruled matches. So the referee was super duper strict, and there was like 100 different disqualifications.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's great. It's appointment watching.
Okay.
That's enough to get me to subscribe to a Patreon right there.
Oh, this was Sean's favorite part of this whole last arc. This interlude just really, really tickled him. I'm being facetious. You thought it was something.
It took me a second. Yeah, it was one of those really not on the nose kind of things, and it just seemed out of place with the. I think I see what you're saying as far as the story being weak, because these interludes just kind of cut up the whole story.
Like 4 random interludes. I don't know. Yeah. It just felt like the pacing was weird. It felt like Len Wein knew he was going to leave, but didn't realize he only had one more issue left kind of thing. And it was like, oh, we should wrap it up right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing is, too, like, each of those interludes is actually prefaced with first interlude, second interlude, which I can't recall as being that common. Like, maybe it just says that once, and then the reader gets the clue from there. Seems like an odd editorial decision, maybe.
I haven't seen it on something where it's been in individual like pages. I've only seen it where it's been like the War of Jokes and Riddles interlude 1, the War of Jokes and Riddles interlude 2 for like an entire issue.
Oh yeah,
but that's it. Yeah.
Well, the other thing with that is, I think that's also the decompressed storytelling that's more modern, where if the War of Jokes and Riddles came out 50 years ago, it might be 1 or 2 issues, and those interludes might be, it'd still be a couple pages instead of like half a page.
Yeah, it would just be like right after some letters in the middle kind of thing. Yeah.
It'd be after a cookie ad, like Chips Ahoy.
But yeah, so Matt Cable, who has been like hating on Swamp Thing for no reason other than him just looking the way he does.
Look how handsome he is.
He's very handsome. He's like very 70s handsome. He keeps wearing like turtlenecks and stuff. And I love a silver fox.
He's got the sideburns too. Like that wasn't a Wrightson thing.
But now we have one stable black man on the cast. And so Matt Cable goes, Mr. Black Man, you are a bigot for not liking something that looks different than you. It's like, all right, Cable, you can just kind of shut up.
Calm down there, man.
It's getting a little less aggravating, but
yeah.
And this is the horse section.
Yeah, and then cut to the bigotry involving interracial discussions, and then cutting straight to the Civil War.
Yeah.
But I always want to call out giving artists credit for drawing horses, because drawing horses is very difficult.
Yep.
And that's a big horsey.
He's a good horse. But yeah, it's also, we gotta make Swampy sad. Like, I'm finally home. Just kidding. I'm technically in the right place. I'm in the right swamp, but right swamp place, wrong swamp time. Like, that's it.
After I read the issue, but before I was writing the notes, I was confusing myself, because I was like, okay, I just saw 2 different things with the Civil War in them. There was this, and it was on Sunday. I watched Time Cop for the first time.
Okay.
And that has a Civil War thing right at the beginning, where somebody displaced from time is like, I'm going to take all your gold. So before I was getting to this part in taking the notes again, I was like, where's the stuff about the gold? And Time Cop is great. It's not the best Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, but it's it's still certainly worth your time.
Worth your time cop, even.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, I think you said gunshot, and there was a gunshot on this page and the next page. I don't know if I got the right one for you.
I think that's the one because yeah,
It
he
seems
gets
to match up.
it's something that more illustrates his plant nature, and oh yeah, your bullets don't affect me kind of thing.
Right through him, just whatever, right through the chest.
Harmlessly.
And then the puppy dog eyes. So he's kind of befriended the man who has been just going through time. This warrior, he has been cursed. He kind of stole someone else's curse, a curse of immortality.
He stole a witch's curse?
He stole his lady, I think, because he was like, I do love you, I just love living more. And
yeah.
so she was immortality. And she informed him that it will be a curse because even when he wants to die, he cannot. And whenever he dies, he just gets set back to the beginning of time and has to live through all of his failures again. So that's why we saw him in Roman times, in the Civil War.
Which kind of brings it around. That kind of brings it around to Moira McTaggart with the House of X stuff. You haven't read that, have you?
Not. I know the words you said, but I have not read it.
Okay, the setup for the last 5 years of X-Men is that Moira is a mutant, but hers is that she can relive her own life. So that's how they came to like getting Xavier, Magneto, Apocalypse all on the same page to build up Krakoa and the the Mutant Island fun thing. Yeah.
Mutant rave, yeah.
Yeah, big old mutant rave, Hellfire Gala.
Kind of, actually. Okay, yeah. But yeah, so he's kind of befriended him because they're both stuck in their own little personal hells.
Poetic.
And the only way that he can actually die is to have a friend kill him. And the lady who he stole immortality from said, "You will be stuck because you have no friends and you will never have any friends. Like, you'll steal this from me, the person you love." He has this great line where he's like, "Please stop. Your razored tongue has drawn enough blood from me," or something like that. It's like, damn.
Only a friend can kill you, and that'll never happen because you have no friends is like the sickest burn possible.
I mean, yeah, it's supposed to be here's the one person that you love and you stole something great from them. So like,
well, yeah, there's also that.
And you said that the jewel that is tied to his curse is like literally never used again.
To what I noticed in research for this, I don't think it's come up again, and it seems like someone would have picked up on that.
Right? Okay, so Swampy goes, "I'm sorry, like I just can't kill you. Like he's totally killed before, but I get it. Yeah. Like he can't kill just intentionally. It's been in self-defense." And so he ends up getting stuck into the muck of the swamp and drowning a horrible death, even though Swampy tries to save him. And he just like kind of protects his little jewel, and he's like, well, he'll be back here eventually for it, and leaves. So it's crazy that I assumed in later Swamp Thing, even as like a throwaway line, like that would be something so interesting.
Or someone's just, goes back to the swamp or whatever and trips over it.
So, this technically isn't the last work of Len Wein on Swamp Thing. Like, he returns later again, but this is the last original stuff. And I think his last work is in, like, 2018 or something like that.
Yeah.
And I really wish that this was the last story that happened. It was just a one-shot where he comes back, and that's it. This is the one that I thought maybe you would really like the title card for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lot more subtle. Looks like the lily pads.
This whole top panel is gorgeous. Like, I would literally get like a lithograph and just like put that in my home. I think it's stunning.
Yeah, so looking at it now, it reminds me of there was the variant cover for the Rom V Swamp Thing run. I think it was number 11 with Francavilla, where there's like a little Cayman on it, I think, and just a crack.
Oh, I love that cover. I literally got rid of most of that run, but I kept that one because I love the cover.
Actually, Tessa, you talk about it. I can take it out of my boxes.
Okay. I think it's Swamp Thing number like 9 or 10. It's right towards the end of like what was originally supposed to be the run, maybe 11. And it was the B cover. And I think Francavilla is so known for using like oranges and warm tones with something stark and black against them, or maybe for like interiors using like oranges and blues. And so to see him do like an entirely green piece, I think is really unique.
Yeah. So.
Oh, hey, you got it a cloud.
Okay. Look at that little guy.
Yeah, it was gorgeous. Stunning.
Oh, now this guy's remind me of that frog. Don't do this. What are you doing now?
I thought you were bringing up something. I'm sorry.
No, it was that frog video I sent you.
Oh, I love him. Yes. Every time I see that video, it's delightful.
I watch it like 5 times in a row every time I look at it. All right, so last issue here, and
this is also great. This one I assumed would have been more so the opening page, but this looks like a movie poster. Like, look at that font.
Yeah, I think this is very cool, and there's a lot going on, and threatening creatures and fights.
This is a great question. I gotta ask, how can you relate to such a character, or are you more into the horror aspect? Well, first off, I love horror. But this one, like, if you're not aware of what's happened in previous issues, because this is the end of kind of like the overarching arc. So this is a scientist and his wife, and some people that kind of suck. They're working on like basically curing cancer, like doing good things for the world. And so people are like, if we get that, we'll get a lot of money. And so different countries are kind of trying to get things from them. And so these bad people end up killing Alec Holland and then his wife, Linda, and his body is kind of tossed into the swamp and he becomes Swamp Thing. And he just wants to save his wife and he can't. He wants to save his dog and he can't. Like, he's just a tortured individual. And he still always tries to do the right thing. He is human. At his core, he is human, and so he is flawed. And so sometimes he gets angry or frustrated, and he takes it out on something when he shouldn't because he's so strong. But in general, like, he's just sad, and he's just a tortured soul who's trying to do good things, and it's really hard. It's beautiful and sad. Like, every time he kind of makes a friend, something horrible happens, and it's just...
I think it's that kind of thing that's allegorical with a lot of monsters or monster-like beings, because you see it a lot with the Hulk too. Like,
I think it just ends up being a little more poignant because, like, while Hulk has a lot of, and especially that first 6-issue like mini that Hulk started as was like innately horror. I think there's a lot of times where literally people think Hulk smash, right? So like, there's a lot of times where it's also just, here's that fun GameCube game where all he does is go and smash things, which is cool. Those should exist.
Yes.
This one I feel like is just a little more like classic literature, gothic feeling, and just crushing your heartstrings at all times.
Right, but I think it's kind of that much definitely depends on the writer. But if you read like Hulk Gray by Loeb Sale, or you think about the storyline that Rick Jones is taking, or the current run PKJ and is it Charlie?
Are you trying to think of the artist?
The girl.
Oh, you said PKJ and then Charlie, and I was like, Danny Earls is the current one. Yeah, I don't remember the girl's name.
Danny Earls and
it was Nick Klein. There was
Nick Klein. They trade off, I think.
Yeah, Danny Earls is the current one.
Yeah, Danny Earls.
But I do.
They're both great. Yeah.
Yeah, he's Danny Earls was actually a footballer, and he just got like injured and started drawing. Like, he has no training or whatever. He just started like pouring time into it.
Soccer or football?
Football, I think, actually.
Huh.
You asked me a hard question. He was a professional sports dude.
Yeah, well, only wrestling is real.
Okay, but I love this. I love this trade dress. This is another one that I would hang up, honestly.
That's a cool one, but I appreciate the next frame. Ryan!
Yeah, hold on. I wanna show him the cats. Oh, this is hard. Hold on. Wait, I have bad eyes. Cats. Ryan, we're commissioning you to make something here.
Yes. You have to. I like the lettering on that Leviathan conspiracy. Like, to what you're saying, it's like a monster movie kind of poster thing.
Yeah, exactly. It looks very much like a 70s one. Hey, Ryan, can you take this picture, put it on Instagram, and recreate this with your 2 cats? That's what we were talking about, because Sean was saying he can't do it, but I obviously can't do it. So if we get you to do this, thanks.
You'll win.
All right. But yeah, I love this. It looks very, very like late 70s movie.
Okay, that frame Swamp Thing does the Bane on a frog. Mind blowing. I cannot.
You don't understand too. Ryan's cats are fat. He got fatties. Kima is just like a small bear.
S'mores I actually gotta try and feed him more, but he's
Kima
just so
would
squirmy.
eat s'mores.
He's
Literally
so
and the cat.
squirmy. Where are you guys?
But yeah, baning this guy, and then getting tripped over by some snake and alligator combo wombo. It's a whole ass ladder match going on here.
Yeah. Swamp
And
Thing
then,
throwing the snake at a tree.
Matt Cable is finally on the side of Swamp Thing has saved my life so many times. I think he is a good guy. I've got to help him. And so in Matt Cable's mind, the way to help him is to capture him and give him to science, I guess. And so like every other time Matt's been like, I'm gonna get you, Swamp Thing, and nothing bad happens. And now he's like, I'm gonna help you, Swamp Thing, and immediately like messes everything up and it's way worse. But yeah, here's a Swampy. I like that they have him in like just a glorified like snake terrarium. Like this is something you'd see at the zoo.
A tank, yeah.
Okay.
And there's the.
I like how they draw him pressed on the glass.
The puppy dog eyes. Swamp Thing really has like two modes of eyes. It's either puppy dog, sad, or it's I'm about to fuck something up.
Yeah. It's just, I use strength now, or just, I'm so sad. I'm not attacking anything now, and I remember how sad I am.
Yeah.
Poor little baby.
It's a nice little
Arcane here. Like, she's just like, I don't know. She immediately is like, why is this? I love both. I didn't take a picture of this because I'm silly, but when they see him in the room, they're both just like, oh my goodness, like, why? What is happening? Like,
how'd this happen? We weren't gone that long.
Also, you guys totally did it, but it was just seeing him caged. They immediately knew that it was like the wrong thing.
Yeah. And I like the commentary here by the researchers. Like, he's doing the commentary like, he's knocking on the, he's knocking on the glass looking for a weak spot. Oh, it looks like he might have found something. And then he's totally shocked when Swampy breaks through.
He's recording all of his science thoughts into his little science recorder, and he's just like, yes, he's walking around. Oh, yes. He's much more intelligent, as, like, Swampy's just, like, listening to him.
Like, I'll show you intelligent.
Those are the two eyes, right there, in one panel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Side by side.
Back to back.
It's, and then just, but this was, like, such a mic drop release, I feel like, for Wein on his way out. Just, like, I'm gonna do it, guys. I'm gonna do the thing. It feels like that's at least how Wein feels. Like, I don't actually think this is that big to tell that one dude who's kind of annoying, but you can tell.
You deal with a lot of annoying dudes, though, so telling them things is not a priority for you, and I don't blame you one bit.
Also, it's very interesting to me that so whenever he has a speech, or the left here is his thoughts because he doesn't speak almost ever, and then on the right, when it's very clearly a speech bubble and an orange, that's him actually speaking, and you can tell he never really speaks. He kind of struggles to say, I am Alec Holland, both because he is a sad boy and because speaking not good for him. And then he tells everything that happens to Matt. So that, imagine that so slow and so as few words as possible.
It's gonna take like hours.
Yeah, just going through everything.
Yeah. Like, Matt's sitting down like, I should have gone to the bathroom first.
And then this is clearly trying to pay homage. This just makes it very much feel like the end issue.
Yeah, we're wrapping up here. Yeah. And it's just Cable's like, oh yeah, that a lot of strange things have happened around us. Old Swamp Boy. Well, not Swamp Boy, but he was telling this back to Abigail, but she was around for all this too.
I wish we got to see Patchwork Man in this.
Yeah.
And is the man on the top, is that supposed to be Anton?
No, that is Patchwork Man.
Oh, that is? Okay, well then we should see Anton in here. If we're just talking about the big things that happen. You got
your alien. You got your alien.
I love that he's there, but I just feel like Anton has been in multiple issues, and like nobody else really has.
Maybe that's the catch. It's like, you've already seen him.
You have to remember him. You already know him.
Yeah, we just had him 3 issues ago.
This was you saying that it looks like they raided the shield department.
Yeah, it looks like they crossed over into Marvel, grabbed some like spy tech gear, and just walked out. And like I understand Cable, but Abigail's just like by his side through all this stuff, and like is he able to deputize her or something?
He literally says it here. He says, you shouldn't be here, Abby. This is something I have to do, but I'd never forgive myself if anything happened to you. And she's just like, I have to do it. She's like, they're
whatever happens tonight, I want to be with you.
They're clearly hinting at there's something happening, even if it's not necessarily stated between the two of them, because Swampy a few times has referred to her as his lady. He could know nothing, obviously, but I think we're supposed to think that, like, there's something else maybe going on here.
Yeah.
This is badass. So, the way that they have Swampy escape, they put him in the coffin, like Sean was saying earlier, that, the scientist that, for the record, guards shot. Swampy did not kill him. Guards shot him because they're all silly. They tried to get Swamp Thing and they got him instead.
Crossfire.
And so, pop him in the coffin, but they have Swampy in the coffin, all huge, behemoth, beefy grass boy he is, all crumpled up in there.
Yeah, what was he in issue 2? Like 547 pounds?
Something huge.
And they didn't pick up on that?
Well, clearly I like my coworker, aka Sean, but in general, oofers.
I like my coworkers. Oh. I learned from an old coworker that my old boss got fired today.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
The Queen.
That's all.
Sean. Sean the Queen is streaming.
Is that David?
David
Trabini.
But yeah, so we have this amazing moment of Swampy breaking out of a grave. I wanted to separate it because I just thought this was so extremely cool. He bursts out. And then, of course, in true sad boy fashion, he looks over and he sees Alec Holland and Linda's grave and just breaks him a little bit, which I think is a great for, like, the ending of this
That's
run.
A nice and neat kind of wrap.
Mm-hmm.
And they do leave it as they do leave a cliffhanger still.
So this is the last page.
Children.
This is the last page, which I love, so I wanted to show it in its entirety, but I know you can't really see it that well. But I just liked the framing of just, like, him deciding to, like, step away from his past life, basically, the gravestones, and then, like, the break in between the two of him traversing in his journey, and then the end of him kind of succumbing to the swamp. And so this is the very last few panels of the Len Wein run.
Well, there's one little bit left to tease the next issue. Is it not in your digital? Is it not in the digital?
Did I maybe just not flip a page? Let's find out.
No, you're on the right page.
Yep, this is the end.
Oh, okay.
Goes to Alan Morad.
Pan the camera.
Oh, hold on. Whoa. What does it say? Something tomorrow something?
The Tomorrow Children, and it's a giant, either a giant ant or a really tiny swamp thing.
That looks like an awesome bookmark.
Yeah, so maybe you didn't catch what I was seeing as far as like did you see my note with?
No, you mentioned something about the Leviathan thing, and I was like, I don't know, maybe he'll explain it when we're in chat.
Oh yeah. So let me flip
We're
to
both
it.
pulling up stuff real quick.
That?
Yes, it is, David. He said, LOL, yes. Mm-hmm. Jake is asking if you disliked your boss.
That one I did. Yeah.
Oh.
Like, that's a hard
image. Those are so cool. I wonder.
Yeah. Like, have you been missing out on these the entire run?
Yeah.
Oh.
There's a really weird blank space at the bottom, especially when there's like a really big space. That's why I asked you early on if something just had a big space, and I guess we just happened to on that issue. So I assumed it was.
Well, that would explain that.
Very interesting.
That would explain a lot of things.
Huh. Okay. Yeah, I wonder. I gotta go check out the. I was trying to resist the urge to go read the original issues physically, all of these, because I would.
I know.
So, the end of House of Secrets 92, the first appearance of Swamp Thing, technically not this Swamp Thing, as he's going out, he cannot hug his beloved or whatever because she just sees some monster behemoth who can't speak. So he doesn't do it. And he says, only the swamp is kind to me now. It is only the swamp that cares. I look down at my wrist at the barren place where once there was a golden bracelet, and I wonder where it is. If tears could come, they would. And here it's until at last he reaches the stagnant march he sardonically calls home. It is only the swamp that is kind to him now. It is only the swamp that cares. For a moment he pauses, remembering Linda, remembering the man he used to be. And if tears could come, they would. So it's a direct parallel. And even like they have the middle panel here is of him like looking up.
That is a good catch. Wow.
Yeah. I regret now not getting this because I actually did not put it together until right now. But it's a gorgeous, very tidy end, even going back to not Swamp Thing #1, but House of Secrets 92, which is Alex Olson, and not Alec
Alex
Holland.
Olson.
But yeah.
Which I'm not
gorgeous,
ruling out. To reiterate, I'm not ruling out that Alex Olson is not related to either Alec Holland or Jimmy Olsen.
It would be. I feel like that was something that could have come up in like Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen, the Fraction run, of just being like, oh yes, my great grandfather.
But there is a great cameo in there with Swamp Thing.
Those are badass. Very cool. But this run was gorgeous and sad and heartbreaking, and
Can we include Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen just because Swamp Thing's in it as an excuse to reread it, because I love that book.
That's a book I want in a deluxe hardcover so bad.
I don't have the deluxe hardcover, but I have.
They don't have one.
Well, I got the soft cover, which you can get pretty affordably with a remark from Steve Lieber.
Oh, that's badass.
He does a lot of remarks on his Etsy store. He's a super cool dude.
Next time we can do like a little book club thing and we can read that. It'll be cute.
Yes.
But I think that this run wrapped up extremely well. I was surprised.
Yeah.
It's sad and heartbreaking, and I extremely love it. And this is entirely a bias, and I would love to be proved wrong. I will go in with as clear of a mind as I can, but I feel like from the next issue until the end of this first run, which is like, 10 issues, I think it's going to be Like, I don't think it's going to hold up to this. I feel like this is a very specific vibe to try and achieve.
I think it's going to more fit into the vibe of
superheroes,
the comic books at the time.
Yeah.
Like more superhero-y kind of stuff, the climate of what it's supposed to be, of what everything else was doing, as opposed to it being Swamp Thing. But that might also give it the room when Alan Moore steps in to really just, okay, we had a slow burn here and it kind of cooled off. We got something new to mold here.
That's what I think is going to happen. I think that like the next 10 issues or whatever are going to be meh, whatever, and then I think afterwards it's going to get amazing again. That's just my guess.
I'm still going to enjoy reading them because this is a cool little exercise that we're doing. And
if they suck, we'll just do more than 2 at a time. So we can blast them.
Yeah.
And next time we'll come in introducing the new people that are going to be doing the creative stuff and see how long they last for.
Yeah.
I will say though, I love the trade dress for early Swamp Thing, and I don't care about later in the run Swamp Thing. It's lame.
I like that it's funky, but I like it for what it is.
Sure, I just think the first
I like it for what it is, in the fact that it could have any other letters like swapped out for it. It could just as easily say Iron Man instead of Swamp Thing.
Yeah, exactly.
As cool, because the lettering itself is cool.
Yeah.
The trade dress is cool.
But like, I feel like this first run is perfect. Like, it's what I love about
what we have here. Yeah.
It's so cool. All right, Jonathan, do you have any other things to wrap up? Any other thoughts you have for the end RIP of Wein and Wrightson?
This has the hidden text too in the title.
Yeah, it does.
That. I really liked it. Depending on how my spending is with New York Comic Con, I might end up getting a Wrightson Swamp Thing tattoo after it.
Hell yeah. I'm definitely going to be picking up this run, the 1 through 13.
You're going to be grabbing the real deals?
Yeah. We have 3 copies of Swamp Thing 1 at the warehouse. So.
For you?
Oh, God. And I would love a House of 92, but not this year. That's a lot of dollars.
Yeah.
We already got an X-Men 1 this year. That's enough.
I got my Booster Gold 12. I'm set.
Yeah, there we go. Equal keys.
Yes.
All right, guys. We will see you next week. Same Swamp time, same Swamp channel. And if you want to see me in about 1 hour, you can go check out The Keeg Show. I believe it's on Twitch and YouTube and everywhere podcasts are. I will be talking about all of this week's comics. And then at 9:30, you can check me out on Comic Chop News' channel. You can see all those on my Instagram. But you can see me all night tonight. I'm going to go chug an energy drink and eat some rice before the next show. Bye, guys. Oh, wait. Quick hello to my dad. Everyone say hello to my dad.
Hi, Bob. Bye, Bob.
Hi, Bob. Bye, Bob. All right. Thank you for reading this with me, though. This was awesome. I really like this run. It has a very big spot in my heart now.
Yes, me too.
All right. We will see you next week. Same swamp time, same swamp channel. Bye, bumpkins. I will see you soon. Thank you for joining. Have a good night, everyone.